welcome. So today I'm going to give another attempt at my experiment with using mixed media. Last week I created a character mixed between the Mad Hatter and the Willy Wonka character, and I used mixed media which included watercolour gouache, colour pencils and fine line markers. The inspiration that I'm taking from this week is Gustav Klimt. He's a 1800s symbolistic artist, and he often painted ladies, female characters with bright goldish colours in the background. So that's the effect that I'm going for today. First of all, I wanted to create my base layer for my skin tones, and I'm using mixtures of red, yellows and blues to do that. To create the first layer of the eyeball, and the eyeball is not completely white, so you want to run a very fine almost white bluish layer across the eye just to create that kind of depth there. And I'm building in the shades now softly. What you want to do when you're building in your shades, you can see here, it looks quite strong, but what you want to do once you put the colour onto the page is wet your brush, clean the brush with fresh water, and then you want to kind of like soften the edges, as you can see I'm doing here, and that's there to build the depth and to make the character more realistic. For the shadowing, I'm adding a slight bit of blue into my skin tones just to create that shadow there and the depth there, and where the light is catching across the body. Building up the eyes very slowly, and now I'm just moving on to the hair. First of all, what I wanted to do is actually wet the paper around the hairline, and to give a greater surface for my water, and I'm going to drop in mid browns very lightly, and then move that across the hair and slowly build up there. I'm working with layers here, so each layer is going to add another layer of depth and texture, and then I'm going to add my fine line hairs, and then once that's finished I'm going to add a wash over just to marry all that together. now I'm just adding the fine details there. And as you can see, I've added some shading and folds into the material, and again I was using that very watered down blue tone colour, so it's almost grey, almost see-through, but once it's dried you can actually see the effect that is taking place. And here I'm just adding a few little gold sequences into the material with my very fine brush. The gold powder that I'm using, it comes in a little jar, and you just sprinkle a little bit into your palette and mix that with water. It's really effective once it's dried, and you can still move it around the page, and you can add it into any other colour that you wish. If you want to create more of a shimmery watercolour paint, you can actually add that through there. Again, I'm adding a few more details in gold, and just to create that kind of lush hemming on the outfit. In some circles around the character, and I'm using my mop brush just to wet around the edges of my character here. If you are a little bit nervous and you don't want to get any paint onto your figure, you can actually add some masking fluid around the edges. I'm just a little nervous when I do that. I don't want to actually ruin any of the work that I've done. I've seen artists who use masking tape and they just cut finely around there, but I'm pretty confident in my brush strokes here to be able to actually just use my mop brush. And what I've started off is using my kind of a very light yellow, and then I've gone in with some lovely orangish tones. This is really enjoyable to do. I really enjoyed this bit. I've used different textures and tones of gouache, and I've watered that down, and I'm creating kind of like a mural around the edge of the character. And later on I'll be adding some gold colours in there, some turquoise. But first of all, I'm just taking one particular colour and bringing a dry brush and kind of just stroking the brush across the page just to give that very dry brush effect where it's sharp on one edge, but you actually pull the paint across the page to create that kind of sweepy look. I thought that I could get away with just painting the gold around the character, and I could do that. I did a few more layers, but I think I wanted to try a more lush effect. So later on you'll notice that I will actually go in with the gold leaf here and just to create that kind of a more metallic goldy lush colour. So I'm going in now with my gold, and I'm just finishing off around the mural and mosaic pattern that I'm drawing around here. And later on I'll be adding some greens and some turquoise just to kind of give it a bit of a pop. So now I'm going to go in with my watercolour pencils just to create that lovely depth there and add a bit more details to the painting. Now you can actually choose whether to wet the pencil marks, as you can see I've done here, just to kind of soften that out. If you choose not to use watercolour pencils, you can use luminous pencils to create that lovely depth there, and you can actually use a buffer to actually buff the lines out, so it creates a bit more of a smoother, and you can have a lot more detail there. Luminous pencils tend to be quite expensive, so you could choose to buy those individually, but I've seen a set of pencils coming for around £160. So if that's not in your budget, it's not in my budget, I've chosen to use watercolour pencils, and then I'm just softening the pencil lines around the art. Now I'm using a green turquoisey gouache just to add a pop of colour to my art, and what I'm doing is I'm going round and just selecting where there's a little bit of space where the my underpainting is still showing through, and I'm just kind of filling that in. I still want a little bit of the underpainting to show through, because I thought it was a very nice underpainting colour, and I just wanted to just create that kind of mosaic look where the underpainting may resemble the grouting of the tiles. So again, I'm just dragging the paint across the paper to create that lovely wispy brush mark there, and I've used a mixture of turquoisey greens there. Now I am using masking fluid, and what I've done here, I've actually protected my brush from damage with this, so I've coated my brush in a liquid soap, and then I've run my brush into the pot and then slowly moved around the page. Now the one thing that I did make a mistake on here, I didn't let it dry enough before I just dove in and put the gold foil on there. Ideally what you'd like to do is leave it to set for about 15 minutes. Don't use a heating tool because that will just cure the top half of the masking fluid. It's not actually masking fluid, it's the gold glue that you use for the foiling. So on future projects, I think I'll be a bit more patient and allow that to dry. And also when you are taking the gold leaf off, just be a little bit more gentle than I was. I think I was a little bit too rough, but I still loved the overall effect. So here I'm going around all the little places that I wanted to have the gold leaf attached to. Now on hindsight, what you could do is actually put your glue onto a palette and add a little bit of watercolour there, just to kind of like create that tint so you actually know where you've painted. So that's another tip that I will be using going forward with my gold glue. Okay, and now for the big reveal, and I can't tell you how satisfying this actually was. It was so much fun, and I was so pleased with the overall results. Yes, there's a few things that I could have done differently, and I've definitely learned how to use this from mistakes. I didn't actually let it set as long as I should have done, but overall I really like the effects here, and I'll definitely give this a go again. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video. If you've got any handy tips or tricks that and if you've ever used gold foiling before, please let me know. And if you are if you did find this video in any way helpful or informative, please give me a like and a follow, and I hope to hear from you in the comments. Until next time, take care.